let's talk about George Floyd. You said George Floyd's death was a terrible thing.
Terrible.
Why are African Americans still dying at the hands of law enforcement in this country?
And so are white people. So are white people. What a terrible question to ask. So are white people. More white people, by the way. More white people.
Shalom. First of all, let's start out by giving all great honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honor to teachers, elders, and apostles of great millstone, likewise brothers put on this truth. Faithfully, fearlessly feeding the sheep and do brothers and sisters tuning in. Shalom. Today's lesson's title, Esau is a vessel of dishonor. Now, you saw in that opening clip, okay, the current reigning king of Great Babylon, America, Donald J. Trump, he deflected the question, and instead of providing an answer to the reporter, he decided he would make so-called white people the victims of brutality, okay, of the centuries that are set up here in Great Babylon, America, okay, in these centuries, okay, or modern day police officers, okay, they're a part of a system that's rooted in genocide, okay, aggressive tactics, okay, and racism against so-called blacks in this country, okay, and we know that it also extends to so-called Native Americans and also Latinos and Hispanics, as we've seen in recent years, exactly how that's playing out. But there's no surprise to us, okay, that this is the way this man thinks, okay. When we go into the book of Proverbs 28 and 15, it reads, as a roaring lion and a raging bear, so is a wicked ruler over the poor people, okay. And this is how his tactics has been, okay. He's grabbing up the so-called Latinos and Hispanics, throwing them in cages, labeling them murders and illegals, okay. He's taking so-called Negroes, okay, or African Americans, Caribbean Americans, and throwing them in cages or deporting them back to their land, okay, or even in these foreign countries like in Africa, where they would be, subjected to all kinds of, inhumane treatments, okay. And this is how this man is bringing about Jacob's trouble, okay. And we know what they've done to the Native Americans, okay. I mean, our people are living in absolute squalor, and there's mass suicide that's going on those Native American territories, okay. But they don't care. This is Proverbs 29 and 14 reads, the king that faithfully judgeth the poor, his throne shall be established forever. Well, we know that's not going to be happening with these Edomites, okay, the so-called white man, because he doesn't judge, okay, in righteousness. Okay, we've seen in recent weeks what? Jake defends himself, he goes to prison for 35 years. Okay, the so-called white man, he goes and he kills, and he gets off, with mental illness or something like that, or insanity. Okay, the same thing too when you have one of these Moabites, so-called Asian, kill one of us, get off. Okay, so basically, come on, Jake, you have to see right here, right now, okay, that this man, okay, his job, okay, as a hireling from the Lord Yahweh Shemashai, is to bring evil upon the children of Israel, okay, with the exception of the 1/3 elect, until Yahushua returns, okay, and take him out of rulership, okay. When we go into Proverbs 29 and 12, it reads, if a ruler hearkens to lies, all his servants are wicked. And we know this man is a liar, okay. This man is an absolute liar. We know he's under investigation for a whole lot of things. Fraud, child molestation, animal bestiality acts, okay, and just a whole plethora of things, okay, that is being hidden, okay, but the Lord is going to reveal it, okay, because when you take a look at how this place is, okay, it's not very cohesive, okay. We can go into Proverbs 21 and so verse 12, it reads, the righteous man wisely considereth the house of the wicked, but power overthroweth the wicked for their wickedness. Okay, we take a look. That's the reason why you have the watchman watching the news. We look at news articles. You have brothers going into TikTok and Facebook or whatever the case is like that, and pulling up, video clips of people, and pretty much you can turn anything into a lesson if you have the spirit on you to do it. I found a lot of video clips, okay, that you're going to see in this lesson, okay, just through browsing YouTube, and I was like, wow, okay, I watch it a little bit and go, okay, I can use that, okay, because there's a lot of Jakes okay, that are, voicing their displeasure of their life here, okay, but they're not necessarily in the truth, or they haven't been awakened, okay. Much like us, I can speak for myself personally. I had the same type of feeling, okay, of what the hell is going on? Why is this happening? And hate of how we're treated. But I didn't know I was a Hebrew Israelite under the curses pursuant to Deuteronomy 28. Okay. So this is the reason why it's very important that we put out these lessons, even using these clips, and go, see, this is the reason why you're feeling that way. It says, whoso stoppeth his ear at the cry of the poor, he also should cry himself, but should not be heard. Okay, and Esau is going to get his judgment. Okay, in the heavenly, when the heavenly kingdom is upon earth, okay, right, and the righteous are in rulership, Esau will get his judgment. Okay, and he will get double, and he will be despised by all these other tribes. And he's going to cry for mercy, and he will not be heard. And then the Lord, Yahweh Shemashai, is going to put him out of existence. Okay, let's take a look at this next clip here.
We know that American history has not always been a fairy tale. From the start, it's been a constant push and pull for more than 240 years between the best of us, the American ideal that we're all created equal, and the worst of us, the harsh reality that racism has long torn us apart. It's a battle that's never really over. But on the best days, enough of us have the guts and the hearts to stand up for the best in us, to choose love over hate, unity over disunion, progress over retreat, to stand up against the poison of white supremacy, as I did in my inaugural address, to single out as the most dangerous terrorist threat to our homeland is white supremacy.
Now, you saw this clip. Okay, who was that? Joe Biden? Okay, keep in mind here, America, okay, even though you have left-wing, right-wing, Democrat, or Republican, it's really one. Okay, it's really one. Hence, when you go into James 1 and 8, it reads, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Okay, so you have the Republican, they kind of like hardball against, integration, and, they would have the old America back, they get a kind of Confederate, mentality. And then you have the Democratic, this is how Jake's perceiving this, okay, as the benevolent, and, they care for so-called blacks. None of them care for you, Jake, okay? In fact, when we go into unstable, it reads, unstable is an adjective describing something prone to change, fall, or lack of emotional and structural control. It is commonly used across daily life, psychology, chemistry, entertainment to describe both physical objects and state of being. Keep that in mind, okay? Because the next scripture I read here, this is Ecclesiastes 12 and 10, okay? And doesn't this sound like an unstable person to you? And he represents the United States, him and Trump, okay? And this is how they all are, because you have a kingdom that is divided, which means what? Instability. They're unstable. It says, never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rusted, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust had not been altogether wiped away. Why? Because you have Trump. It's easy for so-called blacks and Latinos and Hispanics and Native Americans to hate him, because he comes right out and say, hey, I don't like y'all, and I'm going to put you in internment camps, and I don't really care about you people. And then you have this other guy, okay, or the so-called Democratic Party. They're coming saying, oh, we can do better, and we'll build schools for you and give you this and give you that and all that stuff. And Jake's are falling for it constantly. This is the reason why it's important that you understand, Jake. Okay, never trust an enemy. These people are your enemy. The Edomites are our enemy. Okay, and you're probably wondering about this, the black and white picture there. Okay, I mean, that's basically, it's self-explanatory. If Esau was really white and not red, okay, this is how he probably would look, which means that they would never be able to go out in the sun. We will never see them in daylight. Okay, they'll be night people. Okay, and if we were so-called black, okay, this is how we would look. So, it speaks for itself here. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 7 and 7 to read. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and the gift destroyed the heart. Okay, see, we're wise because we were out there in the world. Some of us are out there longer than others, okay, decades, and you experienced a lot of hell, and you got backstabbed so many times you lost count. And so you started to, you would Yahweh Shemaiah then turn around and kept you out there for a long time, maybe 3, 4, 5 decades even. And then he wake you up. And when you wake up to this, there is no way in hell you can ever go back to being asleep again, because you've been out there for so long and seeing everything like that. Every scriptural voice and precept, it makes sense. You can align it with your own personal experience. Okay, so as a wise man, okay, you're gonna constantly be in a state of madness. I'm angry. Okay, and no matter what this man offers, I don't care, because everything that he offers comes with a price, and it's always evil and wickedness. Okay, so let's go into this next video clip here.
Don't cipher. That Marshall and the bitches send off Tanyan the nigga heaven.
Okay, now you saw in that scene there the Django, and this was just to show you just the cruelty of this man. And many people probably saw that movie, how they allowed a dog to eat. I altered the voice a little bit so that it can actually, get past the algorithm that would block it, because of course when we add scriptures to it, then suddenly, becomes a violent lesson and all that stuff. You know how they play the game with us. Okay, this is Psalms 94. Starting verse 4, it reads, how long shall they utter and speak hard things, and all the workers of iniquity boast themselves? They break in pieces thy people, O Lord, Yahweh Shemaiah, and afflict thine heritage. They slay the widow and the stranger, and the murder the fatherless. Yet they say, the Lord, Yahweh Shemaiah, shall not see it, neither shall the power of Jacob regard it. Despite the fact that the Lord, Yahweh Shemaiah, put us into slavery and, punish us, and we are still being punished, pursuant to Deuteronomy 28, we deserve all of it. We're getting our ass whooping, and that's just the way it is. But he still loves us. Okay, and that's just the way it is. Okay, he still loves us, and it's easy for Esau to come and say, well, if your God loved you, he wouldn't have you go through all of this and all of that. Hey, Yahweh Shemaiah made it very clear: Jacob have I loved, Esau have I hated, and he's going to make Esau's kingdom to waste. Okay, so there's nothing to discuss. We know that this is part of history, and this man is boast about it. He put it in this movie. Quentin Tarantino, likes to put these things in his movie because he likes to showcase the misery of our people under the rulership of the so-called white man. And Hollywood put it in there. They document it in their books. They'll sugarcoat things. And I believe that scene, in reality, was significantly worse in real life. I can't imagine. The brothers that had to go through something like that. Maybe I went through it. Maybe I got eaten by a dog in my previous, incarnation. I don't know, and I hope I didn't. But I'm going to find out on Esau. You're going to pay. You're going to pay when in the kingdom. Okay. So I'm going to play this clip for you. Okay. Take a look at this. Listen to it very carefully. Retain it, and then we're going to go into the scriptures. Here's the clip.
Is classical European art racist? Well, according to infamous author Robin DiAngelo, who of course is responsible for giving us the book White Fragility, the answer is of course. She's quoted as saying, the single image I use to capture the concept of white supremacy is Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel God creating man, she said. Where God is in a cloud and there's all these angels and he's reaching out and he's touching, I don't know who that is, David or something, and God is white and David's white and the angels are white. That is the perfect convergence of white supremacy patriarchy, right? There is no way in a million years that Robin DiAngelo would look at traditional art from Asia or Africa that happened to portray, Asians and Africans and call that racist. That would just never happen. But there's a different standard for European cultures. How dare Michelangelo hundreds of years ago not included, a Native American man as David in his art? It's like, what? We've gotten to a point in society where it seems like European culture cannot even exist anymore without being racist.
So many people's lives are actually at stake. The fact that this is not a game, that this is not you know, it's not a political game. It's not even just about democracy. It's about like the end goal here is in many of these white supremacist minds to eliminate brown and black people from this country by any means. And that is an existential threat to millions of people in this country. And I don't think that people a lot of people in the mainstream media, in general, the mainstream media does not understand or does not feel the sense of urgency that communities of color feel, and are not able to convey it to their audiences because they don't necessarily.
Doesn't impact them.
Yeah,
Yep.
Exactly.
When I think of being proud of something, I think of something I worked for, or that I had to do nothing to be white, absolutely nothing, and nothing was taken from me because I was white.
It's like saying I'm a proud white person is a completely different saying than saying I'm a proud black person. Because when you hear I'm a proud black person, I think empowerment, I think strength, I think courage, I think, you know, all these amazing things that the black community has done and accomplished throughout the years. But then when you say I'm a proud white person, already there's so much like hate involved in that.
Thing about that is like how you said, someone who says I'm proud to be black, that's empowerment. Why aren't I allowed to be proud to be white? What makes it wrong?
You haven't been oppressed.
Yeah, what are you proud of? Just your skin color? Because yes, that is wrong.
So you're saying I can't be proud to be white because I don't have a culture?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Now you saw in that clip, what did that lady talk about? You know, see, again, they're very offended to the fact that people are calling them out and saying, why are you having the world worship some called white God and white Jesus and all this other stuff? And she's saying, well, it's reverse discrimination. Nobody questions anybody else's stuff. No, universally, okay, with the Catholic Church, you have Christianity all across this earth. You all have people bowing down to a so-called white God, okay, and a so-called white Messiah. And what are you getting offended about is the fact that people are now coming out and questioning that. And you have the prophets who are saying that what they're painting is false. Okay? This is the book of Job 9:24 reads, the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges. Therefore, if not, where and who is he? Who's the judge? The judge is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Okay? You have the Mashiach, the son, he's a judge. And you have the Most High, Yahweh, he's a judge. Okay? All judgment. The Lord even judged his son. Okay, who can judge us and everybody else? You see how that works? This man covered the faces of the judges, the angel, the Most High, the Son, the prophets, okay, the angels, okay, everybody, okay, and he's been called out for it, okay?
Yo, dear non-black people, y'all need to stop comparing other people's oppressions, history, and pain with black people's. It is not the same. It is not the same. Well, other countries had slaves. My ancestors were slaves during the Viking era. It's not the same. I'm sorry. It's really not the same. And I'm not saying that to dismiss anybody else's suffering. Pain is pain. Trauma is real wherever it exists. But comparison is where honesty matters. And pretending everything is equal is how truth gets diluted into nothing. What happened to black people was not just slavery. It was not just change. It was not just forced labor. It was an entire system built from the ground up with one goal: extract everything: labor, culture, language, land, identity, memory, family, spirituality, and then legally, socially, and economically lock the damage in place for generations. That was not a chapter, my friends. It was a foundation. Black people were not only enslaved, they were stripped of names, stripped of lineage, stripped of homeland, stripped of memory, stripped of ancestry, stripped of the ability to even know who the fuck they were before the boat. After slavery ended, the punishment did not stop. It evolved. Jim Crow, redlining, Ku Klux Klan, lynching, mass incarceration, war on drugs, racial profiling, disenfranchisement, underfunded schools, over-policing, medical abuse, economic sabotage, financial sabotage, cultural theft without credit or repair. So when somebody says, my people were enslaved too, but their ancestors went back to land, language, last names, history, and power, that matters. That difference matters. And bro, you realize most groups who were enslaved were eventually absorbed back into a nation, a people, a lineage. Black Americans were released into a country that still hated them, still exploited them, and then blamed them for the damage it caused. That's not the same. And no, saying that doesn't mean other people did not suffer. It means this suffering was systemic, racialized, inherited, and unfinished. You can't flatten that into a generic human struggle without lying.
The white man is your enemy. You know the white man is your enemy, and you know why.
It's no secret, right? We dealt with slavery, we dealt with oppression, right? And we still deal with the after effects of slavery because we're dependent on a system that was created by the people who oppressed us.
Right.
So how can you give your faith to someone who oppressed you? That's like the so-called Jews going to Hitler like, yo, can you help me? Right. Yeah, I'm gonna help you with this fucking gas tank.
Let's go into Jeremiah 49 and 10, verse 10. It reads, but I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, his brethren and his neighbors, and he is not. Esau's been exposed. Okay, he exposed himself. He left a lot of evidence of his crimes and, in his movies and just his bragging and everything like that. And now you have men that have the spirit on them, okay, to be able to read these scriptures and actually convey them out to the believers, okay, as to what they means, because this has all been written and coded in such a way that not everybody can understand it. The Lord is intentionally blinding 2/3 of our people. Lord willing, I'm not part of that 2/3, okay? And you are the brothers and sisters out there that are believers that we are not going to get to almost to the end and then the Lord say, I don't want you. That's just going to be, I might as well just die right now, okay? But the rest of these people on earth, so if he's going to cover the eyes of and the ears of 2/3 of our people and not allow them to get this gospel, imagine the rest of the world. They're on their own, okay? Let's go into this next video clip here, okay? And we're going to see how Jake's them are reacting to things, okay?
Well, they say this country was built by black people, but that was decades and years ago. Get over it. What? What? Get over it? Let me learn you this. If us black folks in the United States got to get over building the country, taking RAPE, from slave masters. Oh, you weren't alive during the time. Shut the fuck up. Being forcefully castrated, branded, beat with whips, forced to work for no pay. Zero. Being lynched for quote unquote whistling at a white woman. Being ate, being used as alligator bait. Not even 1 year old. Still a newborn. Being used as alligator bait. And having a university and a cheer called Gator Bait literally 5 years ago when they been knew what that shit meant. Whenever the fucking college started. Get over it. Slavery and racism is not happening today. Get over it. Florida just banned the Gator Bait chill 5 years ago. In 2020, COVID year. Get over it. The fuck you mean? This shit's still going on. What do you mean? Oh, black people are always talking about slavery and da-da-da-da-da. They always talk about racism and how white people did this. I wasn't a part of that. That was my ancestors, so you can't put that a part of me. We all know deep down, behind closed doors, you know. But you know what a hit dog gonna do when his ass did? He's gonna holler every time. Motherfucker gonna scream. I'm telling you. I'm gonna forever talk about this shit. I ain't gonna lie. Cause it's a part of me. And y'all always talking about black people need to get over this shit. Y'all still teaching about the first fucking president. They used to take slaves' fucking teeth out their mouth forcefully and put them in his mouth. Y'all still teaching about niggas like that? Why y'all can't get over that? Is he that important? He's that important. Oh, black people own slaves. La la la. They used to go get slaves and bring them to the white slave master when in the transatlantic slave. La la la. All that bullshit. Bro, black people was not doing that at first. Y'all started offering. You feel me? Y'all started offering my color of people money to go get and lure and trick them into going somewhere that they wasn't. Whole time they finna be on somebody's plantation working. Like, yes, our people sold us out. Had literally zero, nothing. You don't think your people gonna sell you out if you feel me? This shit righteous fucked up, bro. And it's crazy. 400 years later, we still living through this shit. Racism. Racism doesn't matter. That's all they say. But they can lynch and burn our towns down. Execute us in front of our whole town and then not get talked about, get swept up under the rug. Fuck y'all.
As you saw in that clip, okay? Jakes, they might not know how to read scriptures. They might not be awake the way we are, but they're questioning things. They're seeing it. And much like how some of us were before we, came into the truth and even become, preachers, teachers, we were thinking the same thing too. I thought for years like that. Like, what the hell, and, you sometimes agree with certain things because you think you had to, but you're angry. And a lot of people are going to eventually rise up like this. This is Genesis 49 and verse 9. It reads, Judah is a lion's whelp. For in the prey my son thou art going up, He had stooped down, he crouched as a lion, and as an old lion, who shall rouse him up? See now, Jason Masada get a whiff of how wicked Esau really is, and these regular Edomites, they're nothing. They're falling apart when they lose their job, and they're nothing. They ain't no white person. Take a look at that. Take a look at that the clip I showed you. Okay, between what a white person should look like and what a black person should look like. Come on. And so Jake, them, seeing that they've been beaten down, they hit the history that they've been taught was BS and lies, and now they're hearing the truth from the prophets. You have Esau them speaking against Esau and spilling out the beans and say, you know what? Even Edomites are calling themselves wicked. And that's the Lord, Yahweh Shemashai, working. And that's going to rouse Judah up. And this is why you're seeing more and more ass whooping is going on these Edomites now, as you see video clips where they use the N-word and get immediately knocked the hell out. Okay? Jake is no longer about to take their shit. And of course, that's going to be leading to that two-third, getting really ostracized and put to death and during Jacob's trouble. And we know that is going to lead to that because they're not going to understand the times. It's going to be an emotional thing. And that's what's rousing them up right now. It's like, I'm sick of taking shit from this doggone white man. But we understand that Esau is a vessel of dishonor. Lord willing, like I said, if I let go, we're giving all going on the 2 Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash, Shalom.